All right, guys, talking tech, rebreather reviews. We're back here today. We're going to discuss the rEvo rebreather. We have the man, the myth, the legend, Big T, Terry Irvine, going to run us through his machine. Going to tell us what he likes about it, what he doesn't like about it, and kind of show you guys just briefly how it works, and how, parts and pieces of it. And T-Man, why don't you tell us a little bit about the rEvo rebreather?
Well, this is the rEvo full-size rebreather. It has a few modifications. Some have been approved by rEvo, some have not. So take it with a grain of salt. I personally like this rebreather. Mind you, it's the only one I've ever used, but we like it. It kind of passes the test of being able to cobble together a dive in remote locations like Presque, Michigan. And we just got back from a real nice dive on the Ohio. So we're going to kind of walk you through a couple things with the machine itself and some of the modifications we've done to it, and then we'll do a disassembly and show you how it all comes apart. So normally the rEvo would come with a controller, which I do have, but I can't get off the bottle right now. There we go. So it would normally come with a controller. This is a fully manual machine, so it does not have a solenoid on it. Normally a rEvo would come with a Dream, which we absolutely hate. And
More of a nightmare, isn't it?
The best Dream is the one with a bullet hole in it. So what I've done is
Terry, mine's at the bottom of the lake.
Mine
belongs.
Mine was set fire to. So what I've done is I've put a second Petrel 2 on. Some people upgrade to a Nerd.
And we can show you guys that in a minute.
Yeah, we can show you what a Nerd looks like. Bob has one on his. So I've kind of kept with two handsets. This is on a Fisher connector and just into a Fisher. This particular machine, we've taken the 5 cells. 1 cell is split, so I have readings on 3 cells on each side. The one nice thing about setting up something like this, where you've got the controller and the backup, either whether it be a Nerd or a second handset, is you have full redundancy. So if you have a couple cells fail, then you can rely on a couple other. And there's been times when a lot of us have been able to ride the machine out with a cell failure. So the other thing we've done is we've done the non-rEvo approved Cooper hose. Cooper hose are
actually
awesome.
Non-diving approved, am I right?
Well, they're not approved by rEvo, that's for sure. But Cooper hoses are awesome. They're smooth inside, so you don't get the what Steve call that? He called it the lung butter.
Yeah, the lung butter.
We weren't sure what he was talking about there, but we were assuming it was the goober inside the hose. These are also almost indestructible. They're really, really tough hoses. I do have a backup hose that I keep with me actually in the boat, because there's a number of us diving rEvos. The harness and that is all standard rEvo issue. The only thing we've done, which we kind of like, and we got this actually from our pal Blair, is we've set up bungees here and here. So if we're doing hoses, we can bungee those bailouts in, keep them nice and tight, and easier for swimmability. So the other modification I've done, which
I think most of us have done that modification,
is I have a big chest, so I can, when I'm wearing this, these are actually kind of right up here, but I have both of them together, so I can just kind of flip them back and forth and see what my pressure gauge is, but they're out of the way.
Because I believe a stock rEvo comes with them hanging over either side.
Correct, yeah.
Attached to the Dreams.
Yeah.
They're nightmares.
And sometimes they're long, and you want to clip them down by the hip D-ring, which is a pain in the ass when you start doing bailouts. Everything else is pretty much stock on this. Nothing really. This is a larger wing. The only thing I've done is I've done a third-party stand. I'd like to say I'd recommend the rEvo rack, but it's a hunk of shit, so don't buy it. Sorry, Ron.
But this one here, the problem with this one is it's made by Frenchmen, right?
Well, that is correct. That is correct. So I think that's
it's about good for
just maybe spinning around here in the back, you can kind of see. So standard setup, we've got our O2, got our dill here, and we got the Hank the Tank sticker, and so all rEvos feature a leaky valve, so it's a constant flow orifice, about 0.6 liters a minute, and then you have a manual add valve for oxygen, dill, and also we can plug in off board quite easily, like all rebreathers. We'll pull this apart. We'll show you the baskets in a second.
You know what, T? Before we go any further, we should maybe we don't have to turn it around, but we can show the gas block here. This is kind of the standard on them. So why don't you describe that?
Yeah. So this is pretty standard gas block for rEvo. rEvo's kind of done a different idea where your dill, O2, and off board are all run with one hand instead of having manual adds on your right and left side. They all come together into one port. Some people like it, some people don't. The disadvantage of this block is it's a little bit bigger block, so sometimes when we're cave diving, you got to kind of tuck that into your chest harness a little bit to keep it out of the way. The advantage with this is everything can be run with one hand. So when I'm diving, typically I can run dill, O2, or off board one hand. I can reach over with my left hand and grab it. If I'm running the scooter, I'll use my left hand to run that, but again, I can run everything with one hand. I don't need to be kind of fiddling back and forth between the two.
You know, and I find one of the nice parts is how they kind of set the oxygen in here, so you don't have to think about really which button you're pressing. You can grab it and feel, and you can tell right away, here's your oxygen, here's your diluent.
Version 2 rEvo, it was all flush, and then they moved to this block, which has been pretty nice. So yeah, let's. All
right.
And I guess the last thing we didn't talk about real much on the loop. This is a standard dragger loop. So you got your mushroom valves inside, standard loop. The direction of your rEvo flow is a little bit different than some of the machines. So we're going from right to left, and some other machines go left to right. So just keep an eye on that. You know, when you're looking at your buddy or whatever, if they're on a different machine. So what we'll do next is we'll take this apart and show you how it all
how about I help you lay it down here?
Yeah.
All right, T-Man. Now we got it flipped over.
Yeah, we're gonna go through disassembling the rebreather, and one important thing is you can never disassemble a rebreather without a beer, because if you do that, you're gonna mess it up.
You're gonna screw it up.
You'll fuck it up
every time. It's required.
Yeah.
If your instructor tells you otherwise, he's probably wrong.
Yeah, he was doing it himself. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take the back cover off, and then the scrubber baskets are underneath that. One of the things that's important with the cover is you always got to have some neat shit on it. So this is Hank the Tank, and so when I'm in the bottom, my buddies know where I am and how to stay away from me.
And there's a story behind all the stickers.
Yeah. So once we pulled the back cover off, what we've got is two baskets. So basket one.
So now something a little unique here about the rEvo is it has two scrubber baskets, where I think pretty much every other rebreather only has the one basket.
Yeah, so you've got, what we've got, I believe it's two 3-pound scrubber baskets. They're probably rated in kilo because it's built in Belgium, so they don't know what pounds are.
Yeah, they wear wooden shoes.
So you've got roughly about 6 pounds of scrubber material there. The nice thing with the rEvo is, obviously, not too often are we going to do dives where we're going to burn through all the scrubber baskets. So what I'm going to do, this has a little thing on the top of it that indicates it's top. That one has been used, so we're going to get rid of it. This one is now going to get moved to the top, and I'm going to put a new basket in. And so I can use less.
So you can use all of your Zorb.
Yeah. So when we were doing Truck Lagoon a few years ago, we were there for a week, and a friend on another rebreather went through a whole pail, and we used half pail. So it does save you quite a bit, and that's one of the big features of the rEvo, which is kind of cool.
And I think the big trick there is to keep track of how much time you have on it.
Yes.
You know, you hit about 90 minutes, you're done.
Yeah, and
that's been mine. You can get more out of them, but
yep. And with the shear waters, they have a firmware update, and you can actually set a stack time on it if you don't. Some people, rEvo advertises an RMS. Don't buy that, and if you have it, throw
take
it
it
away.
out and get rid of
It's
it.
a hunk of shit.
Yep.
But the stack warning is a good feature to have. But that's really with any shear water. So once we've taken the baskets out, we have the top assembly here.
Now hold on. Let's talk about that. What is in that top assembly then?
Well, this one, there's really almost nothing. There's your ADV here, which if you inhale on it will give you dill.
Does yours work?
Sometimes it does.
Yeah,
sometimes
I have
it
not
does.
found good luck with that. Usually rip that out.
And then this is from your manual add. This is where this is going in, and it goes into the top counter lung. So with a rEvo, when you do an O2 add or a dill add, it'll take you a couple seconds for it to get down.
It's going to take a couple breaths to move.
Yeah, into the bottom basket and for the sensors to read it. So we'll pull this out. rEvo doesn't recommend this, but most rEvo instructors will teach you to pull a top ShamWow, and that's one that usually gets pretty wet. So this has been in the water for 2 hours. I did a fairly deep dive today, so it gets a little bit wet. They say not to, and the one thing that's important here, when I pull out the other, I'm going to pull the basket out here. This is where all the sensors are, and we're going to pull the bottom ShamWow out. Maybe.
Uh-oh.
There we go. So what you'll notice is quite a difference in size between the two ShamWows. One's quite big. One you deliberately cut small because you don't want to damage the top counter lung. So this one is pretty dry. So there's nothing going on there. So one of the downsides of the rEvo is that your sensors are down towards the bottom of the machine. So you can see this tray, after a couple hour dives, pretty wet. So we're going to let that sit out tonight and let that dry off so the sensors dry out. And then we're just going to clean out the counter lungs. The counter lungs, I like the counter lungs in the rEvo, and the reason I like it is because we have full access to these counter lungs when we pull this machine apart. So what I'm going to do for the counter lungs, I take the disinfectant wipes.
Wipe it down on the inside.
Yeah, we're just going to wipe it down, and by the time supper's done, these will be dry. So we're just going to take it, and it gives it a quick disinfect. So that's the one nice thing about the rEvo, is that every day you're starting with dry counter lungs. So the disadvantage of having counter lungs encased in a steel box is if you ever have to work in these counter lungs, you got to pull this whole steel box apart. So that's a drag, but the counter lungs are very well protected.
But as opposed to another machine, you can't really open them up and let them dry as well as we can do here.
Correct. Yeah. So we do have good access to this, and we can get it cleaned out. And we're just going to let the basket dry, air dry on its own. The other thing I'll do real quick is I'm just going to do this over here as well. Beer, so I'll put the basket there.
Don't spill that beer.
No.
That's priorities.
So the only other thing we need to do on this machine for maintenance is we're going to take the bottles off if we need to change the bottles. We have already taken off the suit inflation bottle. Bob can show you how the suit inflation bottle works.
No, we don't want to get into that.
Oh, we'll show you.
We'll show you what happens when the bracket breaks that holds it on.
So yeah, we'll take these bottles off. We're going to switch them out because we're hopefully doing a big dive again tomorrow. One of the things that you can do, if you get this stock from rEvo, it's going to have European fixation brackets. So the first thing you want to do is take those things, throw them in the fucking dump, because they never work right, and go to McMaster Car and get yourself some proper straps. And I think we're using a, what do we say here? This is a 5/16 nut driver. So go to Ace Hardware.
Yeah, Ace Hardware, Home Depot,
Canadian Tire,
Canadian
and buy
Tire.
yourself one of these nut drivers, and you'll be infinitely happier. I was kind of taught when I was doing my course that these brackets, you can fix bottles to the brackets and that, but they're very, very tough to put on the actual chassis of the machine. So quite often what most rEvo people will do is we'll leave this on there all the time and then just shove bottles in. Plus it saves us money not having to buy fixation brackets.
Not a bad idea.
So that's the extent of the breakdown. And our next segment, we will show you how to put it back together and do a build on it.
We'll do one of those as well. And you guys got any comments, put them down in the argument section.
Yeah.
And let us know what you think.
And go Louisburg Scuba. Hi, Harvey.
Okay, one of the other differences I wanted to show you guys, because we were looking at the front of Big T's machine. I have a rEvo. I dive myself because it is the best machine out there. If you're not on Team rEvo, you're just fucked. But we talked a little bit about Big T runs 2 petrels, 1 on each wrist. I run 1 on my left wrist, and then I use Shearwater Nerd mounted right here on my DSV. So I have that full display right there in my vision. So I have that going for me right there. I have not switched to the Cooper hoses yet because currently it seems that they're unavailable and they're pretty hard to get. I had them ordered. 6 months later, they were still on back order. So I'm running the new rEvo hoses, which are all silicone. They're kind of nice. So you need those. Give Ron a call. He'll take care of you on that. Got to give Ron something good today. But I think the biggest difference between my machine and Big T's machine, he's running the standard rEvo harness, and I unfucked mine by putting a back plate on it. So I threw the back plate on the back. It's the same back plate that I can run when I'm running a set of doubles, if I'm running a single tank, whatever I'm running, I can put my back plate on. I have a crotch strap. I believe this is the Light Monkey that has attachment points here and here, so I can secure my bottles in the back. And then I too run the bungees here. So I am, believe it or not everybody, I am side mounting my bailout bottles off a boat. But it seems to work really well for me and trim out real nice. Running gauges the same way as Big T, right over the right shoulder. You got them zip tied together. They seem to work pretty well that way. You can see whatever you need. And that's about the only difference I have, I think, between me and Big T. But it's another option that you can do with the rEvo because they are very versatile machines and you can kind of tailor them to however you want to dive it. Okay, we got a couple more things to show you guys on another machine. This machine here, another rEvo, this belongs to the Grand Jedi Master Hefe, El Hefe. He's a little camera shy since he's used to working behind the camera like he is currently right now. So we're going to show you what he's done on his machine. So he's recently upgraded here to the Petrol 3 controller. And he too is running a Nerd on his. So he's got the Nerd here. Seems to work out pretty good. Pretty much similar to what Big T and I are diving. One of the things we didn't show you on our machines is right here we like to put, when we're doing these big deep dives, we like to put an extra oxygen bottle over here with the attachment blocks on the side. So we can add that on there. And the reason we do that is with the leaky valves, when we get to, well, I haven't really found the depth quite yet, but supposedly around 300 feet, we lose oxygen going through the leaky valve. So we then have to switch over to manual adds. So what we do here is we take this little 6 cubic foot bottle, we plug it into our bailout or our offboard gas, and then we can add our oxygen there as we need it. So that's one of the big things here we wanted to show you. The other thing that Hefe runs, where Big T and I both run the gauges over our shoulder, he is running, let's turn this thing around. He has right here and right here, there's 2 of them, he has the wireless sending units. So I've been told you can mount them down here directly on the regs, but there's really not a lot of room in this low section to mount that sensor, or that transmitter rather. So we mount them up top here so it's closer to the Nerd when you're diving it, and it'll pick up the reading a lot better and be a little bit more reliable. So that seems to work out pretty good for us there. Hefe's got the weight pocket on top. Runs his suit inflation off the left side, his O2 off the right while he's diving. And if you guys notice, he's got this old cover on the back. Down in the argument section here, I think we need to get him a new cover. I would like to hear what you guys think he should have on the back of his cover. I have some ideas. I'm not going to say them here right now because he's probably going to smash his camera over my head. But let's hear that in the argument section, what we're going to do here. But thanks a lot, guys.